2000.
Descend to maintain 2000, 724.
Copy 724, roger. Descend to maintain 2000. Copy 504, descend to maintain 3000. 3000, copy 504.
Well, hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. I hope a lot of new people will be watching this video. So if you're new on this channel, please check out the other videos as well. I'm sure you'll find them helpful. This is a non-monetized channel, so please make sure that you like the video. Please make sure you support the channel by subscribing. It's absolutely free, ad-free experience, and a lot of good content coming your way. So yeah, please make sure you support the channel if you like this kind of content. Now today we are going to fly from Boston to Baltimore in the newly released PMDG 737-700. Today has been the most exciting day for most of us with this release. It is kind of a milestone for MSFS, I would say. So yeah, absolutely honored to be bringing this video out to you guys. Mostly we'll be following all the procedures, and I'll be also following the British AvGeeks checklist that he has made. I'll be linking that in the description down below, so if you want to also follow that, you can go ahead and check it out. Really nice guy. He also uploads a lot of YouTube videos, really helpful ones. So yeah, make sure you go ahead, check him out, and give him a like and sub as well. Let's hop into the cockpit now. A lot of panning around. Alright, now we are in the cold and dark cockpit of the 737-700. So first thing that we are going to do is get some power to the aircraft. So I'm going to turn the battery on, and the next thing that I'm going to do is connect the ground power. For that, I'll go to FS Actions. I'll go to Ground Services. I'll select GPU cart here. Remember, you can cycle this external pit power, or I think there was another option as well. Yeah, external pit power or GPU card. We want the GPU card connected. So once you have GPU card selected here, you can go ahead and hit request. So that will say connecting. Once it says release, that means this option will allow you to release ground power. That means the ground power is connected now. And I'll tell you what to do on the overhead panel once you have that connected, because we don't want to stay on the battery for too long, because you'll see that the battery is discharging right here, right? Now, once you see this release thing on the FMC, you will see that the ground power available light comes on. Once you have that, push it to on. We are powered by ground now, so that is great. We have some power, and we can start following all the normal flows now. Now, before going to the overhead panel, I am going to quickly test all the lights here. So if you push this button to test, everything in the cockpit will illuminate, and you need to go through all of that and make sure that everything is lit, which looks like it is. Just to make sure that there is no light that has gone off or something, so that if some warning pops up and you don't know what's going on, just for the sake of that, make sure that all the lights are on, and they are on. So I can turn this back to bright here, and the down position is dim, so in case you don't like the extremely bright lights, you can dim them. Once we are done testing that, we'll come down here and we will test the fire protection. Let me see if we can. Yeah, that should be better. Everything looks good. That should extinguish it. Looks good as well. Next one will be our cargo fire test, which is also good. I'll come back to the captain's seat and we will go to the overhead panel, and we will do the stall warning test. Oh, you know what? The stall warning test does not come active for a bit. I think it takes a minute for it to come active. So let's move ahead with the flows on the overhead panel. and then we'll come back to the stall warning test if I remember it. So how I usually do it is go from the bottom here, come back from top in here, bottom, top, bottom. That's how you're going to do it. Starting from the bottom, all the fuel pumps are off, so I think we are good there. All of this navigation stuff is as is, and we are good. Yaw dampers, I will turn them on once we are aligned on the IRS. Let's turn these knobs to nav so that our aircraft knows the position that we are in. Coming down from here, we are on ground power, and that is showing up just fine. There's no battery discharge warning, so the battery is not discharging. Our standby power is on auto, so that is fine as well. This is good. APU gens will come on when we turn on the APU. Wipers are off, all the lights are off, and APU is off. Switches are engine start switches are on off. Wipers are off here. We will turn the seatbelt signs on once we are loaded. Emergency exit lights can come on. Equipment cooling are both on norm. We will turn on the windows heat here, but we will wait for the engines to be turned on for the probe heat. Wing and anti-ice, again we'll wait for the engines, but I don't think we will need it today. Electrical hydraulic pumps can come on because we have electrical power right now. Everything here should be as it is. Pack should be off for now. Isolation valve needs to be open, so that's good. These two are the bleeds, engine bleeds, and they can just stay as they are on right now. APU bleed is off, and we will keep it off for now. Now here we will need to enter our cruising altitude, which let me quickly check on my flight plan what that is going to be. It is going to be flight level 380, so that's what I'm going to enter here. Flight level 380. There we go. Landing altitude for us at Baltimore is going to be 150, so that's there. This needs to be at auto so that the cabin altitude is being automatically controlled. Right now you will see that the cabin altitude and the difference in pressure between outside and the cabin altitude is 0. Slowly the cabin altitude will rise and the differential pressure will also rise, and we'll have to check that when we take off and reach 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 feet to make sure that our cabin altitude is not too high, right? Okay, position and strobe lights are as they should be. I think we are good on the overhead panel, so let's come back to our captain's seat. And now what we are going to do is get in the FMC and get the aircraft loaded up. So there's an easy way to load the aircraft here. All you need to do is go to the fuel page first, and then look at your SimBrief flight plan and look at the block fuel in there. Our block fuel for this flight is going to be 13,422 pounds. So I'm going to fill that in, 13,422, and you'll see that when I enter the fuel in here, you will see that the fuel changes on our display here as well, and that verifies that we actually have this much fuel on board. Then we go to the payload and enter our zero fuel weight. So our zero fuel weight from the flight plan is 117.5. So that's 117.5, and I'll go ahead and enter that here, and that should populate your passengers, forward and aft cargo and everything. So you don't have to do anything once you enter the zero fuel weight here. Then you hit return, go to the doors. You can go ahead and close this door now. So this is something like instantly loading the aircraft instead of, realistically starting boarding and stuff like that. For now we'll just follow this and do it this way. Okay, so now that everything is loaded up, what I'm going to do is go to init ref. I have to go back to menu, FMC, and then pause init, and here I'm going to enter our departure airport. Most of the times I've seen that it does not take in the right gate number. Like currently we are at B20, according to MSFS, but I don't think it's going to take it, so that's fine. What we will do is enter this GPS position into the set IRS position, and now the aircraft knows exactly where it's at. Now before going to the route page, let me quickly go over how to set up your SimBrief to copy the files over to the right places, so that you'll be able to quickly load your routes in through the PMDG FMC. So let's go ahead and open my SimBrief here. So once you have your active flight loaded, which is this one right here for me, what I usually do is I have SimBrief downloader, and inside SimBrief downloader, once you have generated that flight, inside SimBrief downloader, this is where you need to copy your flight plans and the WX wind uplink files. So I'll leave it on the screen here. Make sure that you're noting down the links and just set it up inside your SimBrief downloader. So all you have to do is hit export selected formats, and for every flight it will copy these files to the correct locations that you have put in here. And you can do it for as many files as you want. For, let's say I am exporting it for PMDG 737, I'm also exporting it for MD80. So yeah, I mean, there's no point in doing that since the SimBrief plan is for 737, but you get my point. You can export it for as many formats as you want. Alright, so now that that is out of the way, once you have the flight plan and WX files in, you should be able to follow what I show you here on the FMC. So let me close out SimBrief downloader so that I don't have a lot of programs open in the background, since I have a potato rig. Now let's put in KBOS here as origin, and our arrival is going to be KBWI, which is Baltimore, and I'm doing SWA 734, let's say. Now inside in the company route, I'm going to enter KBOS and KBWI. If I enter it in this format, it's going to load the route that SimBrief has in those folders. Now the only thing that be remaining is to enter the runway, which is going to be 40 right for us. That's again from the plan itself. So you see the runway is populated on the ND now. Now the next would be to select the departure and arrival. So you hit the departure arrival page, hit the departure page, and then go to the next page. I think this is my arrival, so I'm going to select that, and 04 right is already selected. So you see how the route has now changed to the correct departure. Now once you have selected the departure, you can hit the departure arrival page again and then hit ARR, which is your arrival. So if you go to, this is going to be my arrival, and I'm going to fly ILS 10, and the transition is going to be Nuggy. Again, this is all from my SimBrief flight plan, so I'll leave that flight plan PDF in the description as well, or at least I'll leave the route in the description so that you know what I am doing here. Anyways, so we have the arrival selected and we also have the departure selected, as you see here. Right now what we can do is go to route again. This was the page where we started. You hit activate and execute. So now the dashed blue line has now changed to a pink solid line, which means this is our activated route. If you end up changing your departure, what it's going to do is let's say instead of PAT S6 I want to fly the Rev S5, or let me select something else that is completely different. Yeah, there you go. So if I want to fly the HYLND 6 departure, it is going to show a white line, so that's the inactive route. Now I can either erase or execute. If I hit execute, this white line is going to turn into a pink solid line, but if I erase, it will go away, and the current one will stay. The current selected route will stay. So once our route is done, we hit the perf init page, and this is where we populate all our zero fuel weight and all of that, cruise wind and everything. So what I can simply do is hit perf init request. So it is going to request for all of that data based on what I have entered in the fuel and payload pages on the FMC. So let's see what it populates this with, and then we'll make the relevant corrections. So now the uplink is ready. I can hit load. There we go. So our zero fuel weight is correct based on what I see on my SimBrief profile. So it has just imported that perfectly. My flight level, cruising altitude, is also correct, so that is great. Only thing that I do need to enter is the cruise wind, which I'm going to look up right now on my SimBrief again. So it says 026,050. So that's what my cruise winds are, 026 at 050. Well, from 026 at 50 knots. That's what the cruise wind is. Not sure why it won't. Okay, I need to hit execute first so that all of it gets populated, and then I can enter it. Makes sense. I'm gonna plan for 13.6. I think that's what goes here. I don't think, not too sure if, yeah, I think since it's just one flight, our plan should be equal to the fuel here. N1 limit, we are not going to do any derates today. We will go full throttle, and the climb profile will also stay as it is. Now we come to the takeoff page. Our flaps are going to be 5 today for takeoff, and if you hit on CG, it will automatically give you the current CG. That's 18.2, that's 6.5. Now since we have the electrical hydraulics on, we should be able to set the CG to 6.5 here. This is something that I haven't figured out yet. It takes really long to rotate this trim wheel, but yeah, I'll figure that out later. There we go, that's 6.5 right here, maybe a little bit. Okay, there we go. Trim is set, and then we can populate the V speeds. So now you'll see on your primary flight display that you'll have the V speeds populated, which is great. So that concludes our FMC setup. Now for the takeoff reference, you can go ahead and enter the runway wind, and whether it's dry, wet, whatever, and then slope and everything, but I'm not going to do that. It's extra information that you can enter to improve the predictions by the FMC, but I'll avoid doing that today, just to keep things simple. You'll have better V speed predictions if you do that. That's fine. We are not worried about that today. One more thing that I can go ahead and do right now is the descent forecast. If you hit descent and then if you hit forecast, it is going to ask for winds at different flight levels or different altitudes, and it will use that data to predict your correct top of descent and your correct VNAV path. So it's good to have these populated so that you'll have accurate VNAV path predictions. So once you're here on this page, you can hit descent winds request. It'll take a while to get everything in. Alright, so the uplink is ready. I can hit clear, and then I can hit load. Again, it will take a bit to have all of this populated. Now there you go. All of it is now populated. So that is great, and remember to hit execute. So now all of this is fed in, and I think we have good FMC here. I don't think we have anything left to do on the FMC. So I'm going to go on the legs page, and oh, you know what, actually let me go to the takeoff page, because I'll need these speeds to do stuff on the MCP here. So now let's deal with the MCP. We'll set our altitude here, we'll set our altimeter here, which I'm setting it to 30.38, and verified that we are at 0. For that, if you're wondering, I just hit B so that I don't have to scroll through this thing and set it. I'm going to set the range to something lower, which is 10. Looks fine. I'm going to turn the flight directors on. I'm going to set the speed bug to 135 plus 10, so that's our V2 plus 10. Now I've seen pilots do different stuff here. Some pilots set it at 135 plus 10, some set it right away at 250. You know what, actually let's set it to 250, since we are the only one working with the airplane here. Let's just set it 250. I don't want to be changing that when I'm hand flying after takeoff, so I'll just set it to 250, which is our limit that we need to be at below 10,000 feet. So that's that. Again, for the altitude, if you have ATC, they are going to give you the initial altitude, but since we don't have that right now, all I'm going to do is set it right away to our cruise altitude, and we'll be in VNAV. We'll be engaging vertical navigation, so if there's any altitude restrictions that are there in the FMS, it is going to follow. This is one of the other things that I haven't figured out, to go up in thousands on these dials here, but we are there. 3038, so flight level 380, there we go on that. All right, so we have the FMC set, we have the MCP correctly set. Now something that I've also seen real world pilots do is, let's say I'm going out from 04 right, I've seen pilots tune in the ILS frequency for 04 right, and also set the course for that runway as well. You can do that. That's just to make sure that if something goes wrong, everything is set to come back and establish them on the 04 right runway. I'm not going to do that, but just a quick tip there. I was watching a real world 737 video, and they were doing this. So yeah, parking brakes should be on, should have been on since the start. This should have been on standby, or transponder. Okay, now I think we are at a point where we can turn on the APU. So what I'm going to do is turn on one of the fuel pumps. Mostly people turn on the left aft one. Then I'll click on this APU, single click on this APU switch, and then I'll hit start on it, and it should spring right back up. You'll see that the APU exhaust gas temperatures will rise and then fall back and stabilize at around I think 400 C or something like that. There you go. So you see the temps dropping, and you will also see that the APU power is now available, this blue light, but we don't have it on. Once we flick these switches, our aircraft should now be powered by the APU. So before we forget, let's do this. Let's go to menu, FS actions, ground services, and we can release the ground power, because now our aircraft is powered by the APU, so we don't need the ground power anymore. And we'll also, once the ground power is removed, we'll also remove the wheel chokes. It says disconnecting, it'll take a bit. There we go, that is gone. Now we'll also remove the wheel chokes and then get back to the legs page. Looking good until now. I'm going to turn on the logo lights as well. Yeah, I think seatbelt signs can go to auto. I think we are decently ready for pushback. So I'm going to do the before start checklist real quick here. Make sure we are not forgetting anything. Again, I'm following the British AvGeek checklist, so a huge shout out to him. Alright, so parking brakes are set, battery and standby power on or auto, they are all guarded. Emergency exit lights are auto, guarded and closed. Ground power confirm connected, we have disconnected it. APU has been on now. Lights as required, don't need them. IRS set to nav, all good. Warning, caution, fire oxygen test. We did the fire and I think we did the fire test and the cargo fire test. We did not do the stall warning test, so let's do that real quick. Working. This one isn't working. Not sure what that's. Let's go up here and check real quick if there's anything that we can find out. Otherwise we'll just skip it, it's fine. Airspeed warnings are working. Not sure if anyone knows why the number 2 stall warning test, I think that's the co-pilot side, that's not working. Not sure. Comment down below if you think you know what's going on. Alright, pack sign looks good. Electrical hydraulic pumps are on auto, so that is on as well. And then there is the whole APU start thing. Packs are on auto. Since now the APU is on, we can turn the packs on auto, and we can also go on the APU air. Isolation valve is open for engine start, makes sense. Altimeter has been set, transponder has been set and it's to standby. Fuel loading, boarding, everything is complete. Takeoff data has been entered. V-speed is verified on PFD as well. Cruise altitude, pressure panel, we have populated that. All good there. Landing altitude is populated as well. MCP is fully programmed and good to go. MCP is basically the mode control panel, so this panel here. Next is flight directors. Flight directors are on and we are good there. Radios, frequencies, we don't have ATC today, so we are going to skip that. Doors closed, ground equipment clear, chokes away, we are all good there. Request, push and start clearance. Anti-collision lights can now come on. Alright, so we are pretty much ready to go for the push and start. For the push and start, I am going to use the pushback planner, really awesome plugin. So I can hold control and then zoom out so that I can see things better, and we will face on this side because that's where our runway is at, and then hit enter. So now our pushback is planned. So what I'm going to do is call in the pushback truck by pressing Ctrl Shift P. For engine start, I'm going to turn all of these pumps on. I'm going to turn off the packs for a while. Again guys, if I'm doing something weird or wrong, just correct me so that everyone can be educated. I'll gladly just combine all of it, all of the corrections and everything that you teach me in like one comment, and I'll just pin it all together. Okay, so we can release parking brake here, so we are good to go, and then if I hit hold it should start taxiing us. I'll use the left ignition today and start the right engine first. So you change that to ground, and what you're looking for is the N2 to go up to I think 20 plus 21 or something. That means the engine is motoring at full capacity, and then you can add fuel into it by pressing this fuel cutoff lever. Looks like we've used about 10 pounds of fuel, because you see how the how there's an imbalance between the two tanks. Okay, we are at 28, so I think we can add the fuel. It's a bit delayed on that. Looks beautiful. I'm so happy with where this sim is headed now. It's just amazing to watch. Okay, we are waiting for the EGTs to stabilize on the first engine. I think we'll be done with pushback sooner here. I think we are good on this engine. We will go for the engine 2 now. Again, watching the N2. And we can set the parking brakes now since they have left. Close this menu. Let's quickly review how our departure looks like today. It's going to be KBOS. SID, and we are following the this one. There we go. This is the departure that we are going through. So we have to be at 550 feet minimum at this point, and then this waypoint does not have any altitude restrictions, and then we have to be at 4000 or above at HURBE, and then we pretty much don't have any altitude restrictions throughout. So as long as we are above 4000 at this point, we should be good. And yeah. Oh, forgot to add the fuel here. Second engine coming on just fine as well. We can set the heading bug to our runway heading, which is 040. Let's see it align perfectly here. Again, waiting on the lights to go off. Stabilized here on engine 2 as well. We'll turn these to continuous. We'll turn the engine generators on. So now engine is powering our stuff, and we can turn the bleed air off. We can get the packs back to auto, isolation valve to auto as well, and then we can turn the APU off. So APU will slowly turn off. We can turn the probe heats on here because we were waiting for the engine start for that. Also turn the yaw dampers on. Perfect. I think we are gold here. We'll turn the taxi lights on and the runway turn off lights on. Ignition can go back to both. Alright, now let's go over the after start checklist real quick here. Fuel pumps on as required, packs are off. Well, we went through the whole engine start process, so I'm going to skip that. Probe heat is on. Gen 1 and 2 are on. Engine 1 and 2 start switches are on continuous. Wing anti-ice as required. We don't need it today because our outside air temperature is 8 degrees C and there's no humidity really. Engine 1 and 2 bleeds are on right now. Packs are set to auto. Resuck fans are set to auto. We are all good. Resuck fans right here. Packs right here. We just did that just for your information. APU bleed and APU are off. APU bleed is off and APU is turning off. Flaps as required. So we are going to do five flaps here. So I'm going to deploy flaps right here, and we will make sure once they deploy that the light here in transit is extinguished, and we are at 5 flaps. Flaps are good. Elevator trim, we just set it, so that is good as well. Flight controls check. Let's do a quick one here. Full left, full right, full forward, and then rudders. Everything looks free and clean. Engine instruments we have checked, looks all stabilized here. We have a little bit of imbalance in the fuel tanks. If we turn crossfeed on, does that solve it? Maybe it did, not too sure. Again, leaving it out to the experts to educate me on that. LNAV and VNAV can come on right now, and auto throttle can go to ARM. Now, taxi checklist. Taxi lights are on, auto brakes are set to RTO, rejected takeoff. V speeds are checked, nav data and everything is good, radios are checked as well. I think we are good for the pre-departure checklist as well. Fuel flow, reset, then rate. Okay, so I think that was right here, reset and then rate. So it has reset to 0, and then now we'll be getting the fuel used has reset to 0, and we'll be getting the fuel rate here. If you click on used, you'll get fuel used, and that's 0 because we just reset it. Okay, I think we are good to go ahead and taxi to our runway 04 holding point. I'm going to let you guys hear the sounds now. Shut up for a little bit. Flaps are verified here, so we're good. I leave the Navigraph thing on. Parking brakes are out. Oh, one more thing that we missed on doing is changing this to TARA. I'm doing a quick test in case. Okay, now we're good.
TCAS test pass.
Test pass, that's good. We'll turn on the terrain radar and the traffic once we get to the holding point. Sounds amazing. Might be a little too sensitive on the rudder or on the tiller, I don't know, but it's just fine. It's a little too sensitive on the I believe we are taxiing in the right direction because 4 left and then 4 right is just parallel to this. Should have just opened the charts here, the airport charts. That's fine, we'll be fine. Take a left from here and then go straight. Again, we have no ATC, no traffic here, and that's why I'm just blindly crossing. Otherwise you'll have to get clearances to cross these runways. So make sure you're not doing this when you're on VATSIM for sure. That's 4 right. I'm going to hold at the holding point here and give everything a last check. Complete the pre-takeoff checklist. Idled and parking brakes are on. Let's finish the before takeoff checklist real quick. Pre-departure is already done. Position lights, strobe lights, everything is good. We can turn on these lights. Landing and runway. Well, I don't need to turn on these, right? This is really finicky. I'll just turn these on. Runway turn off lights. Taxi lights can come off. Wing and wheel well, I'll leave them off. Transponder is set to TARA. Traffic can be turned on now, and I will also turn on the terrain radar, which is right here. Clock can be start. Yep, so we can hit the chrono here, and that'll start our clock. Pretty much set for takeoff here. It says verified takeoff speeds. Let's quickly check that here, what's going on. Init ref index takeoff. Yeah, we're good. Okay. Weird. Okay, just for the sake of it, we are going to line up and hold there for a bit, for a few seconds, and then take off. But overall, we are all set. I think should be good to go. Have a nice sunset landing at Baltimore, I think. Be fun. Okay, I'm not going to accelerate from here. I'll reach at least those stripes or thresholds or whatever you call it, and then accelerate. I've heard from someone that these surfaces right before these thresholds are not made for the planes to accelerate on, or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I've heard from someone. Okay, 50%. Once it hits 50, we can hit Toga. Toga switch is right here, by the way. It's an invisible switch. Airspeed is alive. Let's call out.
80 knots. V1.
Rotate.
V2.
I'll start 15 degrees at first.
Positive rate of climb.
And get up. We'll hand fly this for a little bit, see how it goes. Degrees still. Okay, we are at 2500. Enable Command A, autopilot, and we can slowly start taking flaps out because we are above the flaps out speed. Increase the range on this so that we have a better view of where we are headed. There we go, flaps up fully. Brakes can come to off here. Continuous switches, engine start switches can come off. Runway turn off lights can come off. Logo lights, I don't need that. Okay, after takeoff checklist, let's go through that. Make sure we are not missing anything. Positive rate gear up, autopilot command A is engaged, auto brake is off, engine start switches are set to off, gear lever can be set to off now. Now it is. Runway turn off lights are off, flaps are retracted, and as appropriate, cabin pressure we'll check it just in a few. And yeah, that's it for now. Let's check our cabin pressure real quick. Cabin altitude is still 0 while we are climbing up in the differential pressures. That's good. We'll run through the 10,000 checklist again as well. Altimeter will go to standard at 18,000 feet because that's our transition altitude. we are about to hit 10,000, so let's go through that one real quick. And you'll see that we are at 250 right now. As soon as it hits 10,000 or above, it is going to switch to something like 270 or some higher speed because of the restriction. Okay, we are at 10,000. We can take the landing lights out. We can again check the cabin pressure, seatbelt signs. I think they can just come off. I don't think it's needed anymore, or let's leave it to auto so that we don't have to remember later. Cabin lights as required, that's fine. Alright, once we are above at around 18,000 feet, let's make sure that our cabin altitude is still good. Okay, I don't know what that's doing right here. Did we just discover a bug or did I do something wrong? It's cycling between 279 and 282. Let me disable VNav and then do it again. There we go. That has fixed it. Not sure if it was a bug or what. By the way, yeah, if you want to fly a specific speed, you can disable VNav and you will see the speed here. You can vary the speed either in IAS, indicated airspeed. I just disconnected the joystick. Yeah, since we don't have any fuel in the center tanks, I've left those fuel pumps off in case you're wondering why those were left off. Alright, we are out from 4 right here, taking a full U-turn back, going into Baltimore. We're climbing healthy, about to hit the 18,000 feet transition altitude. That's when we'll change our altimeter to standard 29902. Alright, 18,000 feet. So we are at standard. And yeah, we are pretty much set until we reach cruising altitude. Let's give our cabin altitude a real quick check. Our cabin altitude is around, say, around 2 to 3,000 feet, and that is good. So that means the system is functioning as intended. Let me show you the aircraft a little bit from the outside while we are just climbing peacefully. It's beautiful. It's one of the best texturing I have seen, and I keep saying that. I mean, I said that for Milviz as well, but this one is an airliner. I haven't seen this good of a texturing inside out on an airliner on MSFS before. It's really good. It's not super clean. You see those marks there? Amazing. See those scratches and stuff? It's absolutely beautiful. I'm sure, I mean, I'm recording at like 130 Mbps bitrate, so I'm pretty sure that it's going to do justice to the quality, but even then, like, experiencing it in the sim is just something else. So yeah, highly encourage you guys trying it out. Let's swap through these views, see what they have given us. So there's the pedestal view here, quadrant view, overhead view, upper overhead view, and there goes the instrument view. Look at that. Doesn't that look good? Beautiful. That's the EFB view for whenever the EFB comes in, and that's the full cockpit view. These yokes look really funny when they're down there. I don't like them in the way. Right, the MCP view. Again, look at that modeling and texturing. It's just out of the world. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Those screws. The text is super clean. There's no jagged edges going on. Absolutely beautiful. Mind you, I'm not even on ultra settings here. I'm just on high settings. I'm not even on ultra. So imagine how it would look like on ultra. My PC just can't take it. I'm due for an upgrade. I'm going to probably upgrade in a couple of weeks, I guess. But yeah, let's see how that goes. I'm going to visit the nearest micro center and get that upgrade done. Thinking about going for 12900K and RTX 3080. If you guys have that kind of rig, let me know how it has gone for you guys. I think we can change the range on this now. You see that top of climb? We're going to be at our cruising altitude around somewhere around here. Interesting how the arc is showing way before the TC, and that's probably because we are climbing a bit too fast right now, but then our climb rate will probably slow down and the arc will start matching with the TC, because the arc is currently only predicting how fast the aircraft is going to be up to 38,000 feet if it keeps climbing at this rate. But you'll see that we were at 1950 and now we are at 1850, and the green arc is going closer and closer to the TC or the top of climb. So you'll see that we'll pretty much reach our top of climb only at this point and not at the green, not where the green arc is right now. Yeah, it's so much fun to observe these things and to learn, you know. Again, guys, if you have any tips and tricks and whatnot, you know, just educate people, just leave them in the comments below. I'll pin them, because I'm not a real world 737 pilot. Heck, I'm not even a real world pilot. I've just been a simmer for too long. So yeah, any help is obviously appreciated. And of course, if you haven't subscribed, like I say, I mean, it's free content. It's kind of a no-brainer. I won't tell you to turn the notification bell on, but you know, just subscribe so that if there's any useful video that I upload, you're not missing out on that. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this kind of, you know, longer format videos where we can get to the cruising altitude and just talk about some random stuff. I hate streaming because first thing is I'm probably not that spontaneous in replying to the chat, and also I feel like when you stream, the quality of video just degrades too much, because you can't stream at that high of a bitrate. I mean, I do have a 650 Mbps Wi-Fi. I don't know if that's enough to stream at extremely high bitrates. I'm pretty sure it's not, because I've seen big streamers with, you know, fiber internet and they are still, you know, struggling with bitrate sometimes. So I'm pretty sure that it's, if I'm recording it at 130 Mbps and then I upload it, that'll probably be the best quality that you guys can experience. And yeah, that's also why I've seen that there were a lot of oh, what did I do? There's my alarm. There were a lot of streamers who did stream the PMDG 737, but none of them were actually able to show how good the texturing was, and that's because they were just streaming at lower bit rates, right? So yeah, that was kind of unfortunate. I kept looking for YouTube channels that would, you know, not stream the 737 but actually upload videos, so that you can actually see how good of a work PMDG has done in reworking this whole remodeling and retexturing this whole cockpit right here. I think the external model is still from P3D or whatever their legacy, and they would definitely have used that. That's pretty smart of them. I mean, anyone would do that, so it's not a complaint. But yeah, that's something that I wish people would have done, you know. Like I think V1 Simulations did that, but his video came out like a few hours before release. So yeah, again, really good YouTube channel, V1 Simulations. Look it up, guys. Really good, really good content. Yeah, we are at 35,000 feet now, almost hitting top of climb. Someone just told me that they enjoyed the Zeebo 737 more than this one. I'm not going to name them. It's all good, to each their own. I'm absolutely loving this aircraft. Now, why did our there it goes, it's back now. Not sure why the speeds and altitude just absolutely disappeared for a moment, and that's also when this was flickering. So I'm 90% certain that we have caught a bug here, but don't quote me on it. If anyone else has seen this before, let me know. Oh yeah, and the weather radar doesn't work right now. It's an Asobo thing. It's not PMDG's fault. None of these airplanes that have released recently have the weather radar working. It's not their fault. Asobo needs to, I think, open up the weather API so that these guys can feed off of it to show some data here. You see, relatively short flight. As we hit top of climb here, we are almost there. We are going to start reviewing what we are going to do for descent and our final landing. Alright guys, so that is it for this departure video. I hope you guys liked it, and I hope you guys learned something from it. I did have a power cut at, I think, somewhere around the top of descent, so I haven't covered the landing in this video, but I will do a separate flight and cover the landing part in a separate video. So maybe I'll name this as part 1 or something, departure out of KBOS, something like that. Anyways, thank you guys if you stayed until this point, and I really appreciate you guys watching my videos, you guys interacting with them, liking, subscribing. So yeah, thanks a lot, and I will keep coming in with more and more content. Of course, we have some live series going on, which is the MD-80 system series, and BAE video is also coming out soon. That's already recorded, I just need to edit it. So stick around for more and more flight sim content, more and more aviation related content, and I will see you guys on the next video. Thank you everyone, happy flying.